Good morning. This is the Blaine's World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You get more information listed on previous shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, what we do is focus on different people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce kind of a old friend, or a longtime friend, not an old friend, but he is Jeff Catanese, founder of Asheville Theater Alliance, and also involved in about 27 other things. And Jeff, thanks for being my guest today. You can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Blaine.
And
Thank
that
you.
is Jeff Catanese. And Jeff Catanese, as I mentioned, kind of does a little bit of everything. He's a writer, director, actor, and teacher. Lives here in Asheville. You left out, Jeff, that you're also a bon vivant. We didn't say
Bon vivant, raconteur. Yes, all the things.
he is the artistic director of Attic Salt Theater Company, founder of Asheville Theater Alliance, which we'll be talking about in a second, co-author of three drama educational books for Scholastic Incorporated, and he's recently in his quote spare time, directed Ordinary Days for Parkway Playhouse, ACT's 39 Steps, which was great, Doubt from Mars Hill University, A Christmas Carol with the Montford Muppets. Upcoming, he'll be directing Noises Off. Actually, it's right now running at SART. And he's also going to be directing Miss Julie for Attic Salt Theater Company. And that's going to open in September. So the question, Jeff, I'll ask a bunch of questions, but one having to do with your background. As a kid, you grew up where?
I grew up in central Massachusetts.
Okay. And so as a kid growing up in central Massachusetts, did you always know you wanted to be this theater guy when you were 7?
I knew since the sixth grade,
Did you?
however old that made me, 10 or 11, whatever it was. But yeah, I was a difficult child, as you might imagine, and
No.
now I'm a difficult adult. See? I was kind of a difficult child, and I had a teacher in the sixth grade who kind of took me under his wing, and he decided that we were going to do a class play. And because he really cared about me and the difficulties I was going through, he gave me this giant book of children's plays, and he said, Jeff, we've got 15 kids in the class. I need you to pick a play with 15 people and pick the role you want.
Wow.
And so I picked a play, and of course, I decided I would play the lead and played the lead. And I remember we put it on, and I remember all the attention that I got, and I loved it. And I said, "Oh, I want to do this from now on."
Two
So
questions. Do you remember the play?
the play was called Birth of the Planets, and it was a professor, me, explaining to kids how the planets came to be, and then all the other kids played the different planets and kind of explained themselves. It was a very, very typical sort of educational children's play.
And do you remember the name of the teacher?
Mr. Gioe,
By chance,
Joseph Gioe.
is he still around?
I don't know. I have not been able to locate him. I
Oh,
I always wanted to locate him just to tell him for better or for worse, you got me into theater.
no, but I get a chill telling the story. And if you can, I'll send you a clip of this show. If you can locate him somehow and send him a clip, because I think it's so cool you recognize the teacher, so he really changed your life at that point in time.
Teachers make a difference. I
Yeah.
have a real soft spot for anyone that teaches kids because because they can make a vast difference in kids' lives. And I'm not talking about the things in
Right.
particular they teach, but the influence they can have.
Even though, of course, now we don't need an education department anymore, so we won't get into a political thing on this. We don't need that, and we don't need funding for the
Don't need
arts.
that. No, it's not
Right, art
important.
funding for the arts. So that's really cool. So you remember it. Here's the idea, Jeff, too, and you probably have heard me tell this, but let's do it. I'll even help you with the Asheville Theater Alliance, and maybe you're the group to do it with. But I want to do a fundraiser, and we have to be a bigger than Attic Salt location. But have I told you this idea that everybody would recreate their very first role?
What's that?
Did I ever tell you everybody would recreate their very first
The
role?
very first role.
Did I ever
Wow,
tell you this
I would
one?
have to find that play. I'm
Yeah,
wondering
no,
if I
but
could.
wouldn't that be a fun thing to do as a fundraiser? That especially like the play you did as a kid. Do you have a video recording of that?
I don't think, no, I don't think it exists. I
Yeah,
really
was there
don't.
any video
It
then?
was, I'm old enough that it was pre-VCRs or
But wouldn't that be fun to do though?
pre-camcorders.
Can you see it? And I'm offering, I'll help you run it. I'll help fund it as a fundraiser for the Asheville Theater Alliance. Maybe I mentioned the individual theaters, but wouldn't everybody get a kick? It doesn't have to be the whole role. It could be just a 5 minute snippet of it. But
Yeah, or
everybody,
just a song if it was a musical
or you
or,
could be a tree, whatever.
yeah,
But because nobody has a record of their first performance. And here, Asheville Theater Alliance, keep that in mind if you ever want to talk to me about it. I'd love to do it with you. I just,
very
and
cool.
I hadn't thought individual theaters have turned me down on that one, but maybe the Theater Alliance as a way to get recognition and sort of a fun thing to do. You get a chance, plus record it. We'll get Rodney or somebody to record it for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, keep that in mind. So you then started as a sixth grader. Talk about after sixth grade. Did you then go on to study theater, or was that your major in college?
No, I actually didn't. I happened to go to a high school that didn't have a theater program. We had a variety show. And it was singing and dancing and sketches. And that's where I realized I had a penchant not only for performing comedy, but also writing it and even directing. Even as a kid, I directed my own sketches. So that was something that I was able to get into in high school. And then post high school, I just started doing various things in the community with community theater.
And then I guess when I first met you too, I was impressed that you and somebody you knew pretty well started your own theater company way back when a whole bunch of years ago. What was that all about?
Attic Salt Theater Company started in 1996 back in New York when I lived there with my partner, Marcy Bernstein, and we created the company like most people create a company. We wanted to do work that we wanted to do. However, starting that company led us down several different paths. For example, we realized very quickly that a lot of the money was in children's
Right.
theater. And of course, being a fledgling theater company, we had to make some money right off the bat. So we started performing children's shows, which led to writing the books you were talking about earlier before we were recording for Scholastic, which led to creating curriculum and serving residencies in various schools around New York City. So, yeah, it really changed everything.
And so fast forward to that because again, which is cool, you still kept the name of the company, Attic Salt Theater Company. And so talk about when they kicked you out of New York, and then that's when you found Nashville. Or how'd
Oh,
you find?
they had enough of me and I had enough of them.
So
Um,
how'd you find Nashville?
Asheville, funnily enough, was I had vacationed on the Outer Banks.
Okay.
And so when I was kind of over New York and I really felt like, oh, I need someplace more relaxed and everything, my mind immediately went to my vacations on the Outer Banks. So I had North Carolina in my mind. And various people started saying, oh, you should look into Asheville. You should look into Asheville. So I started looking it up and I was like, okay, if I move to this little podunk town in North Carolina, what am I going to be losing? And so I started doing some Google searching and found out that Asheville was just the kind of place I was looking for. It had a vibrant arts community. It had, a great diversity that I would have missed leaving New York. And I definitely wanted to find something that would uh, serve me better than just, getting on the subway every day and having a sneer on my face.
So you came to Asheville about when? Do you remember?
2010.
Okay. Well, I didn't realize that. So you came, I think that's when we got here, right? 2009, 2010, around the same time too. And knowing you, and that's kind of the guy you are, you certainly didn't come, you certainly didn't take slow, I would say, coming to Asheville. I mean, my God, you got here and all of a sudden you were running the first day, it seemed like,
Oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, in looking into Asheville, I was like, okay, well, what's the theater community like there? And how am I going to be in the theater community? And the first thing that I came across was Asheville Community Theater was holding auditions for several shows in their season. And one was Little Shop of Horrors, which I love, and the other was Noises Off, which I love. And the arrogant Northeasterner in me said, oh, I'll get in both of those. But then, sure enough, I did. So
oh, really? You were in both those?
I was in both of those. And within a month of moving here, I already had a whole theater community, new group of friends,
Well, also, it
places to
was
call
cool.
home.
So when did you actually get the physical facility that you're housed in the Attic Salt Theater Company?
Oh, that was about, I think we've had it for 6, 7 years now, something like that. I don't know. I'd have to look at the original lease. But yeah, Attic Salt was a transient company. We would just play wherever there was a space. And, we performed shows in 35 Below. We performed shows at NC Stage and Magnetic Theater when it was up and running. And then we came across this opportunity, this space that was opening up that was already outfitted with a lot of the things that we would need to run a theater. And we just took the chance and said, okay, let's sign a lease and have our own space then.
And what's really cool about it, so it's not only used for productions that Attic Salt puts on, but it's also, right, other people are using now as rehearsal hall, or they're using for other reasons as well.
Oh, absolutely. There are a great many companies that use us as a rehearsal space or even a performance space. You should know you've performed Happy Together there.
That's right.
Um, and so yeah, people are able to rent it out. We try to keep the rates very reasonable because we know the theater community is always hurting. But yeah, we rent it out to Nemesis, we rent it out to Different Strokes. The Montford Moppets use us both for rehearsals and performances. So yeah, and it keeps the lights on, which helps.
And it's kind of a cool facility because it can be used for lots of different things. It was certainly showed. So in addition, it's just, I'm blown away, Jeff, by all the things you do. The only thing I'm missing, I'm looking in your background, some of the shows you've been involved in, but I don't see your roller skates because in terms of getting around from one place to another, just kind of knock my socks off for all the things you do. Let's talk about a couple of them. One I didn't even know before the show tonight, but you also, it's really cool. You're a virtual assistant. And for the folks that don't know what a virtual assistant is, what the hell is a virtual assistant?
It's basically I help small to medium-sized companies that are at that point where they don't want to hire staff, but they do need help. And most, as you understand, most of the world can now operate over a computer. So I am able to, from my house, work with these companies, my clients all over the country.
And so what kind of clients are they? Or you said, what kind of companies do you typically work with?
Largely, it's companies that help other companies. We work with a lot of DEI companies and a lot of those who go into other larger corporations and teach them and run classes about DEI, but also business coaching, life coaching, things like that. These are the types of businesses that are like, oh man, I'm able to get my own clients, but who's going to do my scheduling for me? Who's going to check my own emails because I don't have time for
Yeah, I'll
that.
just mention that if anybody's interested, because I've used virtual assistants over the years, and Jeff would be the perfect guy to do this for you, because if you're looking for stuff, like you said, you don't have time to do, or you rather do other stuff, Jeff, Jeff will do it for you. So really cool. I didn't realize this was another side of stuff you
Yeah.
do. But you're doing that in addition to also directing. And I was disappointed. I told you off the air that I've also seen you in many plays, but you're doing less and less acting. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's not necessarily by choice. It's just A, what I have time for, and B, what I prefer. I actually prefer directing to acting. Um, and I think it's more about as I get more freelance directing jobs and as Adixalt produces more and more, I have less time to just go out and say, I'm just going to be an actor now and let someone else take over the reins and
But
all
but
of that.
fess up if you would, Jeff. The real truth is, and you and I have talked about this. You don't have to memorize scripts that way. If you're,
I hate memorizing lines. I used to be great at it. So I don't know. It's completely gone now.
yet nothing you do too, which is really cool, which is less memorization. But you also do a lot of comedy, and you've done lots of sketch comedy and improv stuff as well. So
Yeah.
so I guess you're still keeping your acting chops alive, by doing
Yeah,
some
I
fun
still
stuff.
like being on stage. I still like trying to improve myself in that manner as much as I can. So, yeah, despite the fact that I don't have a time to take on, 3 months worth of rehearsal and a 4 week run in a play, it's nice to do improvisational opportunities like with Super Happy Productions. I do a lot of things. And also sketch comedy that we've done at Attic Salt several times now. So yeah, it gets my yayas out as you will.
And you also do, which is sort of, I guess, some of the sketch comedy. So you enjoy writing it as well.
I do enjoy writing it, yeah, very much.
And kind of we'll fast forward, Jeff, to a couple of things you're involved in right now. And the first thing I wanted to ask you about is something which you got off the ground, so impressed to this day with it. But you, I guess, were the founder of something called the Asheville Theater Alliance. And what's that all about?
The Asheville Theater Alliance, I started probably about 10 years, but I never incorporated
I
it
remember,
until
yeah,
just last year. But I always saw Asheville being a small market town with so much theater. And one thing that I always saw was the theaters were kind of acting in competition with each other. And I didn't understand it because none of us were selling out.
right,
So,
yeah.
it's like if one of us sold out every possible seat for every possible show, I could understand you saying, I don't want to work with anybody else. We're protecting ours. But none of us were selling out, and especially a town with so many smaller theaters and even some ad hoc theaters, I want to do this show, so I'm going to create something now. I didn't understand that sense of competition. So originally, the idea was to get the theaters to collaborate, to get the theaters together to discuss how can we help each other and how can we all do better. And so it started with just a couple of panel discussions that we held and got the theaters together to be at that and a few round tables and things like that. And then with everybody struggling so much post COVID, I saw the opportunity. It was time to incorporate it and actually turn it into something. And so myself and my partner Rosie Pillmore, Rose Pillmore. I call her Rosie, but Rose Pillmore. Um, we started by incorporating it as a not-for-profit and then getting a website up and running. And same thing, we try to keep the rates really low for everybody so that everybody can be a part of it and everybody can take part in it. But yeah, it's boomed since then. It's blossomed, and people that I talk to have been loving not just our mission, but the various things that we've come up with to help the theater community.
And talk about some of those things because I thought it was really cool. And we'll also talk about how to get involved in it. But you mentioned you're doing various things, and I think you are helping get the word out about theater in the Asheville area. What are some of these things the Alliance does?
Well, I think first and foremost is the website, and anybody can go to the website. It's AshevilleTheaterAlliance.org.
Wait, I have to ask you, and how do we spell theater?
We got both ways.
Oh, do you really? Good
Oh,
man.
we covered our asses that way.
Okay, great. Oh, so it's theater. I spell it R-E, but E-R. Brilliant.
If you spell it either way, it will bring you to our page.
Okay,
So yeah, getting the website up and letting people create their own profiles and building a directory. And we now have a directory of about 150
very nice.
performers and theater people in various areas of theater tech, performance, directing, creative, what have you. And then we've also got about 30 organizations, and those run from theaters to theater adjacent businesses. For example, Asheville Stages is on there as an
Well,
organization because they're the one place consistently doing reviews in town now. So very happy to have them. And yeah, we've got theater intimacy education, which is a group of intimacy coaches for hire as intimacy coaches, but they also run workshops and teach people about
you
intimacy
you said
coaching, and
something
they
very
are amazing.
interesting, if I can stop you. So theater people actually get paid for doing the work they do.
Oh,
This is
absolutely.
not
That
to
is
be,
such an important job
I'm
now.
being facetious with you, but not only intimacy coordinate, anybody, can you imagine that people, actors, want to get paid, and I'm kidding you, they should be. And I digress. Someday we'll talk at long length about this, but I don't understand that actors still, many theaters don't pay, yet more and more are starting to pay, which I give them credit. Yet explain it to me that musicians get paid, so it just always I thought was bothers me for some reason.
Well, I think it's musicians figured out long ago. I think musicians started getting ripped off first.
Right, that's
So
true.
they figured out let's get paid for our work very early on. And it's of course a double-edged sword. Speaking as a
Right.
producer, it's very hard to pay a group of musicians to do a musical. Um, However, it's also very dangerous that a lot of theaters now are just using tracks.
Tracks,
They're
yeah.
not even using musicians, which
Well,
I think
well,
is a real shame.
I do too. And Jeff, I agree with you so much. Even if it's just a keyboardist or two people, you
Yeah,
don't have to have a whole orchestra. Yet the comeback is, you know, well, we have musicians, so we'll eventually get actors. We'll start using tracks for actors, so you can mouth the words.
yeah, very soon. We're gonna go that way. Chat
Right.
GPT, here are the lines, create me an actor.
And
Yes.
create whatever. So you're doing the Asheville Theater Line. So if someone wants to join, you mentioned the website. What do they get? They can have a website, which is kind of cool. So everybody can have access to a website. Is there any charge to that in addition to the regular
No,
membership?
once you're a member, you have full access to the website. You can go, you can if you go to the directory, you can sort. So, for example, if a company is looking for an Asian male
Right.
actor uh, for a specific production, they can sort by race, they can sort by height, they can sort by gender, all of those things. And that way they can find exactly what they're looking for.
And that alone is just an incredible benefit for people because most people don't have their own individual website or can post stuff on their own individual
It's
websites.
huge. It's
That's
huge to
pretty
have
cool.
that kind of one-stop
Wow.
shopping. Yeah, I've already had a lot of producers come to me and tell me how grateful they are that that exists because yeah, you want to cast properly as far as ethnicity or race, um, gender, all of those things, but a lot of times the producer holds an audition and they just don't see that person. So they've got a full cast except for one.
Right.
So it's so great to be able to say, I need this one person. Can I reach out to a few that fit that demographic? And this enables them to do it.
So aside from the website, any other advantage or any other benefit for joining the Theater Alliance?
Oh, yeah. Well, you have access to our podcast,
Okay.
Behind
Mention
the
that.
Curtains. And it's a wonderful way to do just what we're doing, plug all of your works. So if you want to reach out, we have a wonderful podcaster, interviewer, Janet Copenhaver, who does such a great job with it. And it's not just ATA members either. It's everyone can get on the podcast and plug their work, and that's available. One of the things producers have found most beneficial is we have a forum, so you can post on that forum. I had one just a couple of months ago. I'm looking for a 1950s record player. And you can just post on that forum and say, hey, does anyone have this? And then every other company can say, yeah, we've got that in our props.
And
Come borrow
yeah,
it.
think about the advantage of that because it used to be that you'd have to contact every individual theater company and hope you can find it. But here,
Yeah,
one-stop shopping, which is really cool. So that's
yeah. Yeah, it's been such a huge benefit, and I've used it several times, and I personally love it. As a matter of fact, one of the first forum messages we got was not from a company, but was from an individual actor who needed someone to read with when they did video auditions.
okay. Wow.
And it's like, absolutely. So people responded to that. I'd be happy to read with you and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah.
And so,
It's really beneficial.
and I'll mention the one other thing I took advantage of. Unfortunately, I've only been able to get to one meeting, but it's a great when you have the sessions every so often. It's a great networking opportunity because
Yeah.
what a cool way to meet 60 different people from 60 different ways of life. But I think that's and nobody else
Well,
was doing.
we have been doing that and we've had to slow down because both Rose and I became very busy. But we have had several meet and greets
Right.
for individual members, and we have had several meetings for organizational members where we bring in guest speakers to speak about one thing. We had Rachel Dibben come in one time at our last organizational meeting and gave a whole talk and presentation about casting the handicap or the disabled, sorry. But yeah, and it was really eye-opening. And I hope a lot of the organizations that attended got a lot out of that.
And Jeff, before we run out of time, let's just talk about two of the things you're currently involved in. And one specifically, we're in the second week of the run, I guess. But it's so funny, deja vu all over again. You come back. So you did Noises Off. You were an actor in it way back when,
That's right,
and then
15
you're
years ago.
directing it. Talk about that.
And now I have directed Noises Art up at SART, and it opened last weekend to great acclaim and a great load of laughs. And it has one more weekend in the run. It will be Friday, two shows on Saturday, and then a Sunday matinee. And yeah, it's been going great. Tickets are selling out and or selling fast, I should say, almost sold out.
And for people who don't know the show, if they want something, a serious dramatic thing, this is the play for them to come to.
Oh, it totally dramatic, deep, profound.
But talk
Uh,
about the show. What is it?
it's actually it's in theater circles anyway, it's kind of called the greatest farce of all time. It's just such a beautifully constructed play, and it is silly and slapsticky and yet very, very smart in its construction and its dialogue. And it really is one of the great comedies ever to be put on a stage.
And talk about the cast if you can, or at least some of the people in the cast.
Sure, I can talk about some of the cast. I've got my muse, Christy Montestioca,
Okay, okay,
I have worked with so many times and love working with. I've got my own partner, Mikkel Sherrill, is in it. I started working with a lot of new people, a lot of people I had never worked with before for this production, and they have been just phenomenal. Uh, Chandler Peveto, John Stockdale, Daniel Henry, Amanda Clifton, Shelley Nielsen, who I had worked with before, Daniel Sandoval, who I have worked
oh
with
great, okay.
before. So yeah, we've got just a stellar cast. As a matter of fact, a review by Asheville Stages just came out today, and they were loving it. So I was very happy about that.
Since you mentioned, and I'll get the names again, but who's the one guy I saw? I just saw it in a Sark show, and you and I were talking
Oh,
about off the
Cody
air.
Eugene Brown.
Yeah, just a real talent too. So that's
Yeah,
part of the cast you put together for that show.
yeah, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And lastly, Jeff, when all is said and done, after this is over, you're going to be having then a show at Attic Salt. And what show is that?
That is Miss Julie. There, we've got a little bit of the drama going. And Miss Julie is a play from the 1800s written by August Strindberg. It's considered one of the great classics of the theater, and for good reason. It has so many themes and things about it that make it pertinent and right up to date.
And what I'm
Uh,
excited about seeing it, and you've done that also before at Attic Salt, this is a show I've never seen, so I'm kind of
yeah,
interested in
a
it.
lot of people have never seen it. A lot of people have heard of it, but never seen it. And one of the great joys of my last few months has been actually adapting it. I did my own adaptation of it. And because I found that in a lot of the adaptations, even though the themes were very strong, uh, a lot of the dialogue is very is overly eloquent and flowery. And so they're meant to be read. A lot of these adaptations are meant to be read, but not necessarily meant to be performed. And so I said, I want to do an adaptation. Excuse me. I want to do an adaptation that's meant to be performed, that will be vibrant and alive on the stage.
Had you
So
had you ever done that before?
I, honestly, I thought about it and I was like, well, I guess we did kind of adapt fairy tales and myths
Right.
for some of our children's plays. But actually taking an author's original words and then adapting from there, um, that I've never done.
Okay, so
And
add it to the list of things you've done, and as a whole, hopefully people who are listening to this show will have seen that you name it, Jeff has probably done it at some point in time in his life.
oh, stop it.
No, no, I'm saying, have you ever thought someday you should list it? How many different jobs you've had in your life? It
Oh,
seems
I don't even want to count.
it seems you've had a bunch. Jeff Catanese, to wrap up, if folks want to get in touch with then, we talked about Attic Salt. You personally, what's the best way to track you down?
I think the best way to track me down personally would be write to me an email at jeff at ashevilletheateralliance.org, and that'll get right to me, and I'll be able to help you out with whatever. Of course, I might send you over to a different email depending on what you're contacting me
Sure.
about. So,
Anyway, I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for being my guest on this edition of Blanks Roll webcast. Thank you for all you do and just keep doing it, man, because it's dazzling to me that you can do all this stuff. And the most amazing thing is you can keep track of it. It's like one day you're probably here, and then the next day you're somewhere else, and so you keep busy. It seems like.
yeah, Google tells me where I'm going on any given day. So,
Google Calendar. Anyway, thanks for being
that's
my guest, buddy. Also, I'd like to thank my producer, Cappy Dissetti, And I'm really glad I spoke to you before the show because I was going to go Noises Off on Thursday night, and you told me don't go there Thursday night.
Don't go Thursday night. There won't be anyone there.
Okay, man.
Noise is off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Get your tickets soon if you intend to go. And then I hope to see you at Miss Julie at Attic Salt
Okay.
as well.
And I mentioned also back to saw it, great theater, great place to see a theater because literally any seat is good seat in that theater. So
Yeah.
um, people in for a treat. Thanks, man. Thanks also, Cappy, for setting my producer. And hopefully we'll see you in person sometime in the next couple of years, Jeff. You be well,
All
man.
right.
Thanks.
Take care, Blaine.